Let us know the stories you want to hear. Rate and review Me Time and Murder on Apple Podcast and mention the British or Irish case you would like us to cover.
Mine is on 4 now.
Yeah, because I couldn't hear you last time at all. Like, whenever I've been editing this week, and there's like you like ask questions. You like ask me a question, and I just keep going because I couldn't hear.
Yeah, no, you couldn't hear me. You couldn't hear me.
I'm just like blatantly ignoring
me.
And you're just like, do you think that that's like the reason why this happened? And I'm like, and then Michael Malloy went in.
It's like, you know, like when you're in like a group conversation and someone does that to you, they kind of like snub you and pretend they didn't hear you. But we're the only two people talking, so it's like, okay. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
It happens. I love when it happens when you're in a group of people and then they'll just like keep talking and it's like so awkward. I love it.
Me Time and Murder is intended for mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Oh, well, big surprise.
Trez, what have you got on your face?
Today I've got the ordinary AHA and BHA peeling solution. It's that red bottle.
You love that one.
I love this one. Yeah, I love the tingle and I love the result. So yeah, that's what I've got. What about you?
I have got my Sephora peppermint gum mask. I like it, and it's like really like cooling and stuff because I was drinking last night.
Yeah, nice.
What are you drinking?
I'm just having a decaf tea from Lidl. That it's the type that you have like milk with, so it's like a normal.
Oh, it's like a regular English cup of tea.
I know, a tea with milk.
We've never even like how many episodes have we recorded, and we've never just had a regular cup.
Just had normal tea. I know. Sometimes I am in the mood for it.
Oh, Daddy loves a good cup of tea, doesn't he?
He's very particular about how it's made. Yeah, there's a lot of steps involved.
Jaron knows how to make it though.
Oh yeah, once you know how to make it, you're in there with Daddy.
Because Jaron was living with us for so long. Like Jaron was just like, I'm the tea boy. And you can see Joseph is like looking at him like, this is my role.
Getting put out. We should have like the tea wars.
We should do a tea off.
Like, oh my god, and then Daddy could do like a blind taste test, like who made which tea and like who's the better tea. That would be epic.
That would be so funny. Yes, we should totally do that.
So good.
Oh, I am just drinking rice tea, roasted rice tea. I love it. I drink it a lot. It's really tasty. So last time we were talking about Annie McCarrick.
That is correct. She went missing in Limerick.
No.
Nope.
You are incorrect.
We can cut this out. The mountains in Limerick.
No, Wicklow.
Wicklow. Why did I say Limerick?
So in the last episode, Annie McCarrick was a US student living in Dublin, and then she went to see the Wicklow Mountains, and she was apparently last seen at a pub close to the Wicklow Mountains, and she's never been found.
And this was a string of disappearances.
Yes. Yeah. We finished with a cliffhanger of what is Ireland's Vanishing Triangle.
So scary, that name.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go through the disappearances.
Annie is still a cold case.
Yep, still unsolved.
Wow.
Yes, Annie McCarrick went missing in March of 1993. Okay, so Eva Brennan, 39. She went missing on July 25th, 1993. So only a few months, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah, only a few months after. Before Eva disappeared, she was at a family lunch at her parents' house. A few days later, her dad went to check on her at her apartment, as he hadn't heard from her in a few days. She had been suffering from depression, so they were worried about her. When Dad couldn't get a response, he and another guy had to break a window to get into her flat. The jacket she had worn on the family lunch was still in the flat, so they knew she had made it home that night. So it'd been a few days, and she would apparently have lunch at theirs nearly every day, and that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, very short. So basically, she just went to lunch with her parents at her parents' house. Then she went home. She got home. And that's the last anybody's seen of her.
Weird.
Yeah, there's no CCTV footage. She just up and vanished.
She obviously lived alone.
Yeah, she did. She was a bit of a loner and she was suffering from depression.
Did she have a job?
I'm not too sure. So the Brennan family, they have like heavily criticized the police for how they dealt with Eva's disappearance. Like, for example, they were saying that like Eva was connected with this guy called Michael Bambrick, who was a convicted murderer, and he was convicted of killing and burying 2 women in Dublin.
Oh,
the Brennan family are like, this is not likely. Eva was a bit of a loner. She didn't really go outside.
Mm-hmm.
It took them 3 months to begin the investigation.
What?
The next woman to go missing is Imelda Keenan. She was 22 years old and she went missing on January 3rd, 1994.
These are all very close together.
Very close together, right?
Cheekers.
Imelda was living in Waterford and she told her boyfriend, I'm away off to the post office. So at 1:30, she left the apartment and was spotted walking down the street and crossing the road by an associate who knew her well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. She was never seen again.
Wow.
From what research I got, she didn't make it to the post office.
No.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Isn't it so crazy? You can just be walking, you know, like you would see your friend in town, be like, oh, look, there's...
Yeah, I mean, this is in the daytime.
Yeah, in the daytime, in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
In 2009, her family offered a €10,000 reward for information that would lead to her whereabouts, but nothing has came of it. Josephine Jojo Dollard, 21, she went missing on November 9th, 1995. So it's a little bit...
Yeah, but it's close enough that this could still be the same person snatching these women. Mm-hmm. Person or persons.
Mm-hmm. Like, because if you know about the serial killers, like sometimes they will have like a little rampage and a cooling off period.
Yeah. And it's almost like they don't need it again until a little while.
Yeah. But then saying that, there could be people missing and nobody knows. People just don't know that they're gone. You know what I mean? Like sex workers or homeless people. Just,
this is true.
You know?
Yeah.
The women could have been snatched off the streets and just nobody knows. You could have had like
this is just who we know about.
Yeah. So Josephine Dollard, she was living also in Harold's Cross, County Dublin. On the day she disappeared, she was catching a bus to go back to her family home. Accidentally missed it, and so she had to get a bus to Naas instead. She then began to hitchhike the rest of the way home. There is an unconfirmed sighting of her walking along the road alone.
Do we know what time that was at?
No, it's not confirmed. But she was last seen using a payphone, and through telephone records, they were able to get to this phone call. Police were able to find the call. The call was made at 11:37 p.m. to her friend. She then ended the call because she said she needed to get in to another car.
They were able to hear this conversation, or just that the friend told the police that was a conversation?
They were able to get... I'm not too sure, actually.
Because a payphone...
I know back in the day, I don't think they would have necessarily recorded.
No, it doesn't record. No.
I don't think so. I think you're right. It's not like she couldn't have told her anything of use because she didn't know that she was in danger. She wasn't abducted at that point.
I know.
So she ended the call and got into a car, got into somebody's car. And the driver of that car has never been identified.
Oh.
Like, we know she got into a car.
Because she told her friend she was getting into a car, but she didn't tell her who with. Or like where they were going, or...
No.
Seems a little bit weird. I feel like if I was on the phone, I'd definitely... I don't know. I suppose that maybe it was a rushed phone call. I don't know.
Fiona Pender, 25. She was from Offaly. She went missing on August 23rd, 1996. She was last seen leaving her apartment by her boyfriend. Fiona was 7 months pregnant at the time of her disappearance.
No.
In 2008, a small wooden cross bearing the name Fiona Pender was found on the Sleeve Bloom Way.
What? Creepy as hell.
So...
Stop it.
People think that she's buried in there somewhere.
But have they not dug it up?
I don't know how big it is. It's a mountain.
Yeah, but like... The cross is usually the burial site.
I'm not too sure.
So we're not so are we saying this is relatives and loved ones believe she's somewhere in the mountains, so they just put it there?
It might be.
I took it as the killer felt guilty.
That's what I took it as. Whenever I tried to do research, like, nothing really came up.
Weird.
Ciara Breen, she is the youngest, 17, from Dundalk. She went missing in February 13th, 1997. Ciara was last with her mother. They had been up late watching movies. Then they went to bed just after midnight. At about 2 a.m., her mum got up to go use the bathroom. And when she looked in on Ciara, like, she's seen that her daughter was gone.
Stop. Mm-hmm. That is the most frightening thing. Mm-hmm. What age was Ciara again?
17.
Oh, no.
So they found in Ciara's room that she had left, like, the window on the latch.
No.
Yeah. And it is believed that Ciara did this. Like, Ciara, that they think that she snuck out of the house to, like, meet a boy or something like that and went out, like, the front door. And then it was probably the doors with the snibs, you know, like, once you close it, you're locked out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So she left her bedroom window open so that she could climb back in.
Okay.
In 2014, 2 credible witnesses came forward with sightings from the night she disappeared. And then in 2015, a man in his 50s was arrested under suspicion, but later released without charge.
Oh.
Yeah, these are very unsettling.
There's not a lot to go on.
I feel like when you hear other stories, there's like footprints or there's scratches, there was a cigarette butt, there was something, there was a strange car in the area, like nothing. Fiona Sinnott, 19, of County Wexford, she went missing on February 8th, 1998. Fiona was last seen by other people leaving a pub with her ex-boyfriend Sean, and Sean is also the father of their 11-month-old daughter. So according to Sean, Fiona was feeling unwell. She was complaining of pains in her arm and upper body. So although they were broke up, they still got on. So he stayed the night in the spare room at hers. The next morning, she said she was still in pain and she was going to hitchhike her way to the doctors.
Oh, God.
So Sean's mum, who had been looking after the 11-month-old, picked him up in her car and then drove Sean home. Fiona was never seen again.
Oh my God, the mum should have come, picked her up and took her to the hospital. Like she was coming to get him anyway.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But you don't know what their relationship
is. That's so frustrating.
is.
I know, but that's her grandchild's mother. Yeah. Take her to the hospital. Like, that's very frustrating that could have been avoided.
Well, this is assuming that, like, she was there. Because this is according to Sean. So Sean said all this happened. And that when he left, she was there.
Yeah.
There was no records, there was no witnesses. Nobody called in to say they had seen her hitchhiking. The last place she was seen by other people other than Sean was leaving the pub with him. It was discovered that she did not see a doctor that day. She didn't go to the hospital, to the clinic, or to anything like that. The investigation also failed to find any evidence that she had been hitchhiking at all. And then, when the police searched Fiona's house, they noticed that it had been stripped bare of a number of her personal belongings.
What?
There was no clothes or personal items that would indicate that a teenage girl and her 11-month-old daughter were actually living there.
What?
All the stuff was gone.
What the hell?
Later, locals reported to police that they had seen a number of black bags outside of the property too.
You see, like, I get it if he's trying to get rid of her, but he's holding on to the baby, so why throw out baby stuff? That doesn't make any sense, unless they're trying to make it look like she took off.
As news of Fiona's disappearance continued to spread and gain more attention, a local farmer told police that he had discovered a number of black bags in the corner of one of his fields.
Oh?
Inside, he found a number of items and documents that had Fiona's name on them.
Jeez.
The farmer set fire to these bags as he initially thought that it was a case of someone illegally dumping on his land.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
People do that.
They do that. And then a few weeks later, he's like, oh shit, that's the girl.
Crap.
I seen her name.
The lesson there is to hold on to at least a few documents.
Yeah.
Even because if they are doing that illegally on your land, you should kind of hold on to their name to reprimand them if it keeps happening. Do you know, like, he was a bit silly not to hold on to anything.
I don't know what the repercussions are.
But he sounds trustworthy enough because by bringing that to light to the police, that puts him into the case.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, why would you want to do that, even though some killers love doing that?
Yeah.
But, you know, I think he's credible. Says me, like, this happened years ago. I don't know.
Police were of the opinion that someone was trying to mislead them and to give the impression that Fiona had run off, what you were saying. But, like, would she have ran off without her kid?
Yeah, that makes no sense, that part. Yeah. They always do that with mums with kids, and it's never believable. It's just like, no.
Yeah, they're like...
Like, okay, I get that it happens sometimes, but there's usually warning signs of that, of them being absent and, you know.
On September 12th, 2008, a memorial plaque for Fiona was stolen from a cemetery on Our Lady's Island in Wexford.
What on earth?
The marble plaque, which had been cemented into the wall, was removed the night before it was due to be unveiled.
What?
Yeah. I personally, I don't think this is like a serial killer. It's like, this is somebody who knows her and hates her.
Yeah, it's very personal.
Very personal.
Very personal.
Yeah. Because, like, the serial killer, like, they don't go in and they don't take garbage bags full of stuff and put it in the field.
No.
You know what I mean? They don't clean the house.
They're just interested in the body.
But she's on the list of the missing women. And we're on to the last one. Deirdre Jacob, 18, of Kildare. She went missing on July 28, 1998. This is meant to be one of the most confusing ones that people really latch onto. Deirdre was walking home when she disappeared from her parents' driveway.
What?
Yeah.
The hell?
Yeah.
What?
This one is the one that people like get. Like, you could probably go into it a bit more, but I feel like this is like it. Like, I've summarized it. Like, that's it.
Okay. That's
so
good.
Multiple passing drivers witnessed Deirdre Jacob within yards of her parents' driveway. She had been in town and was walking home. She was crossing the road to go to her parents' house, and she was like, last seen walking on the driveway going up into the house. But she never made it into her house. Yeah. Never seen again.
Bonkers.
So, like, that's, to me, I'm like, this is like somebody's being like opportunistic. Mm-hmm. Like, they're literally just grabbing women and throwing them in their car.
Totally, just grab, yeah.
I find it's so strange though, because like, it's in broad daylight. Like, surely like somebody would have seen that.
You would think, wouldn't you? Or like, what if her parents were in the house? Would they have seen out the window? You just expect somebody to see something.
Uh-huh.
But I guess sometimes there's not somebody always looking. Things do happen, you know.
Yeah. So there are a few suspects. We touched on the suspect last time in Annie McCarrick case. So convicted rapist Larry Murphy has been suspected of the one being responsible for, they're pretty sure that he's responsible for Annie McCarrick, Jojo Dollard, and Deirdre Jacob, because he lived in that area at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
And if you remember, he also was arrested and he went to jail for, so he abducted a woman, he kidnapped her, put her in his Toyota boot, drove her to Wicklow Mountains, and then while he was halfway there, took her out, beat her up, raped her, put her back in the boot, drove her off to the Wicklow Mountains, where he raped her orally, vaginally, and anally. And when she was like trying to fight back and trying to get him off, he took out a plastic bag and put it over her head.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Until these two hunters came and they were like,
what are you doing?
What the fuck? They knew him and they stopped him and they grabbed the girl and they were like, okay, come on.
Could you imagine seeing that in the mountains? Like, you're out for like a hunt or a trek or a...
Mm-hmm.
What on earth?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it was during the daytime as well.
I'm not too sure.
Well, like daylight or like, you know, who's out in the mountains in the dark? Like mental. I suppose some people might be hunting in the dark. I don't know.
I know what you're saying, yeah.
So that girl obviously got away. And what did they do to him? Did they do like a citizen's arrest, I wonder? Or like...
Well, they knew who it was. So the cops went to the police and they were like, we found Larry Murphy trying to murder this woman.
I would just be nervous that he would try to run then, you see. But obviously he didn't, he got caught.
No, he didn't, he got caught. So he served 10 years of a 15-year sentence. So a lot of people are angry, because he never apologized to this woman. He said that she was lucky to be alive. She's alive, isn't she? Yeah, he had no remorse, no regret, didn't care. And whenever he was in prison, he never, he never apologized, didn't care. And he never took any behavioral training classes or courses. He didn't do anything to improve himself. So I was like, how do you, if you serve 10 years of a 15-year sentence, so you get out on good behavior, but does the good behavior, does that not also involve that you have to do these courses? Is it literally like if you don't get in a fight for 10 years?
That sounds like what it is,
right?
Which is bonkers.
Surely there should be some type of motivation, like you have to go to AA, you have to go to behavioral training, you have to go to...
Good behavior is a load of bullshit because they want to get out and do this again. They want it so badly that they are going to behave good. They're going to hold all their anger in for as long as it takes, and then they're going to release it when they get out. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, this whole good behaviour bollocks. You had people in school who were like on their best behaviour, but then they were absolute assholes. It doesn't mean anything. It just means that they can bide their time and play by the rules because they're so driven to do, it's stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
There is another suspect, and this guy is a former army sergeant, father of 5, John Crerar. John is from Kildare, so he lives in the area where a lot of these women were abducted, and he was also found guilty of the murder of a woman.
Okay. Her
body was found naked and strangled in a forested area in Wicklow. She was found in January 1980. He only got convicted recently not recently. He got convicted in the early 2000s because of DNA.
Oh, wow. Love that.
Yeah. Local neighbours also state that John would often access this abandoned quarry. And there are also other theories that John Crerar and Larry Murphy may have worked together.
Knew you were going to say that.
To help each other abduct these girls. Yeah. It's possible.
It sounds likely, if you ask me, the amount of girls and the weird fishy circumstances. It just sounds like there was people watching and looking out for opportunities. I could believe that. That it was the two of them.
So there is the idea that it could be them. There is a serial killer, or there's multiple serial killers. There's been a few in that area over time.
Yeah, and they can be connected, helping each other out. And I know, sometimes it does feel unlikely because it's how do 2 serial killers meet, and but it can happen.
There have been women who've went missing and their bodies have been found.
Oh.
So they're not in the vanishing triangle because their bodies have been found. It is thought that the disappearances of Eva Brennan and Fiona Pender, the pregnant lady, were perpetrated by the same person who murdered Antoinette Smith and Patricia Doherty. Smith was a 27-year-old mother of 2. She went missing in 1987. Her body was discovered a year later in a shallow grave in the foothills of Dublin mountains.
Jeez.
The same with Patricia Doherty. She was 34. She disappeared while Christmas shopping on December 23rd, 1991.
Christmas shopping. So sad.
In June 1992, her remains were found by men digging turf in the same area of the Dublin mountains.
Wow.
There might be more. but there's been 2 women have been found. So they were missing and then they've reappeared. But it might be because like the serial killer may have like, right, okay, we'll have to make sure that nobody finds these bodies. And so he's went higher up, or he's went deeper into the mountains, or so some of the detective work that has been done, not a lot, because there's not a lot to go off. So the lake has been drained, the countryside scoured. They have brought in like a lot of like top detectives, mostly like UK and Ireland, to like investigate. With suspicions of a serial killer or serial killers, in October 1998, Operation Trace was set up to oversee all these missing cases.
Wow.
The disappearances then stopped.
What? Once the task force began?
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
What year was that again, sorry?
1998.
And like, when was the last disappearance?
1998.
Wow. Okay, so that person was still active and just stopped because they were like,
yeah.
I'm going to get caught.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So Operation Trace has not been successful. There has been numerous appeals on the media, but no progress has ever been made. Police state that there is actually nothing that definitely links the women, these missing women in the triangle. So, for example, none of the women were like staying in like the same hotel. None of the women were like at the same university. None of the women worked together. None of the women had like the same people in contact. They didn't run in the same social circles. Like, with no crime scene, no evidence, and no bodies, detectives, they are baffled and they're stuck and they've got nothing to go on. The police have called in help from the British police force, forensic scientists and psychologists, and the FBI.
Wow.
But when the FBI makes a criminal profile, they go off remaining evidence that's at the scene, or clues. There's no shoe size, there's no fingerprints, there's no hair, there's no blood, there's no weapons, there's nothing to go off, so it's impossible to create a criminal profile.
Yeah.
And it's still ongoing. I was reading an article today about Larry Murphy, because he's European, with the passport. He just like keeps going in and out of all these different countries and they don't know who he is.
The fact that like he is in the world bothers me. What on earth?
Yeah, and that is the case still active of the Ireland's Vanishing Triangle.
Crazy shit. So frightening. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. I just feel for all the families. That's a lot of fucking families of girls.
It is, right?
Keep hopeful, and you never know what can happen.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the next episode.
Me too. I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what it's going to be. All right, we'll see you on the next one, guys. Slán Abhaile.
Bye.
Me Time and Murder would like to thank and acknowledge our sources that make this podcast possible. References can be found on our Instagram page.